Good morning and welcome. My name is Stephanie Webb and I'm a member of the Covenant of UU Pagans. Today we gather at Beltane, a turning of the season, a threshold between spring and summer, a time when the world feels fully awake. The days have lengthened, the earth has warmed, and life in all its forms is rising, growing, stretching, reaching toward the light. Traditionally, Beltane is a celebration of fire and fertility, of creativity and connection, of the energy that moves through the natural world and through us. It's a time that invites us to notice what is coming alive, not only around us, but within us. Whether you're here every week or joining us for the first time, we're so glad you're here. However you arrived this morning, you are welcome. While you're here, we hope you'll stop by our guest table to sign a guest card and pick up some information about our church. Please note the insert in your order of service that lists upcoming events and other activities. I now invite Jenny Ashcraft to come forward to light our chalice.
Here we go. We light this chalice in the spirit of Beltane, a flame of life, of creativity, of transformation. May this fire remind us of warmth returning to the earth, of possibility rising within us, and of the quiet, persistent invitation to be fully alive. Please join me in the affirmation of covenant printed in your service, saying, "Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other."
Good morning. So the service this morning is put on by your worship arts team. So once-ish a month, we get to be in the pulpit doing whatever we think sounds appropriate to the season or what's happening in the world. So because today was so close to Beltane, we thought we would weave in some of those thoughts as well as a little bit of joy. So this morning, I was adding a few things to my thoughts for today, and I was looking out the window at the birds, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I saw a mama deer with her very new baby. The fawn was so new, he or she was almost all white. All those little marks covered his body, and he was wobbly. They caught my eye because they walked through a patch of sunlight in my backyard, and I just stopped and watched, and I thought, yes, this is what we're talking about this morning. I think that we're drawn to talk about what we actually need to hear for ourselves, whether it's words or quotes that catch our eye for a reason. Some part of our brain knows that's what we need to hear. So it would be accurate for you to assume that this is what I need to hear today. But maybe something will catch your attention as well. Just think about, what do you need? How can you care for yourself this week? We can't go out into the world to make good trouble if we're already depleted, impatient, and deeply tired. This past Friday night, after a very long day, a long week, I came to church for card night, game night. It's the first Friday of the month. I highly recommend it. I was dead tired, but I wouldn't miss that night. So I came anyway. I ran over to get some water, and I got to see Margot, who gave me a huge hug before she went to a gathering with her Buddhist teacher. Then I went into the Pearson room with a bunch of our friends from this church and laughed for 2 hours. Partly because we were learning new games and we weren't very good at it, partly because it was just so wonderful to be together and to eat treats and to relax. By the end of the 2 hours, I had a lot of energy. People might say I was even hyper. It was just so nice. I was happy. I was at peace. I went home and went to bed. I was delighted. I slept well. It was totally worth it. Even though I was so tired that at 5:30 I thought, I can't do this, I have to go home. Lately, the things that are catching my eyes are online, and I have to say, although there are pros and cons, the thing that I am appreciating the most about social media at the moment is that people that I respect and am amazed by, writers like Anne Lamott and Kate Bowler and Nadia Bolz-Weber, they send me little emails. They do podcasts. They do videos on their websites. And the things that keep catching my eye are about joy and rest and self-care. And that's how I know that I'm not thinking about that enough in my life, because every time I get one of those emails, I'm putting it in a folder. My folder has hundreds of emails now of things about joy and taking care of yourself. So the book that Amber read from, Joyful Anyway, it just came out a couple of weeks ago, and I keep dipping into it, and every time I do, I am so glad I picked it up. So I'm going to read one paragraph for you right now, then I'm going to read some more. Kate Bowler is a Canadian who now lives in America with her husband and her son. She's a professor at Duke, and in 2015, 11 years ago, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She's now in remission. She wrote a memoir about that time, and it's called Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I've Loved. She is hysterical. She's got the best smile on the planet. She is now doing a lot of podcasts and interviewing authors and going on tours for the books, talking about these things, about joy and how do we enrich our lives. She said, even though it sounds a little odd, she said, I believe in joy. And she had begun that by saying, this isn't quite the way you normally hear the phrase, but I believe in joy. We can't mistake it for anything less than what it is. One of the most powerful ways we experience the deepest and most healing forms of gratitude, delight, and hope. It's a kind of transcendence. Joy is a glimmer of love and forgiveness and wholeness that lifts us out of reality for a moment and gives us back to ourselves anew. This keeps me thinking about how do we remember? Because I can read this and I can think, this is really good. And in about 5 minutes, I'm distracted by the next thing, usually my to-do list or a worry that I have. I was talking to Zenith on Friday. It's like, how do we keep reminding ourselves? And so this morning is one opportunity for me to say, just take the time to notice when something touches you, delights you, makes you laugh out loud. We're looking for glimmers, moments of joy. You've heard about people that write in gratitude journals. I always want to do that, and I start out really well for about 2 days, and then it gets covered up by books and other things, and I forget to pick it up again. Recently online, I saw a picture, and it was all these cool flowers, and it was a neat font, and it said, "Good things are always happening to me." And the person was suggesting that on our phones, in the notes section, you just keep a list of good things that are happening to you. I love that. I did that April 28th and 29th. But I thought about it again when I was putting these notes together, and I looked at the list, and it must have been a good morning. I was talking about indigo buntings and rose-breasted grosbeaks and goldfinches, which were all on my feeders at the same time last week. It was great. A friend recently gave me a plant. It's a succulent called Hens and Chicks. I kept telling her how pretty it was, but I didn't know it had a name. And then when I heard the name, I'm like, that is great. Hens and Chicks. So she gave me some of cuttings from hers. She said, ignore it. Like, don't pay any attention to it. It doesn't want that. It doesn't want extra water. So I put it in the window, and I just kind of go by sideways and look at it and say, hey, me. But I don't mess with it because that's how it blooms. I also put some other succulents next to it just to kind of keep it company. But the idea of thinking about what makes me happy, writing it down if I remember, but at the very least, just noticing it. Like card night. That was just what I needed, absolutely. When we talked about this service, I started another list, which I did add to, and I sent to Stephanie. These are some of the things I put down. Joy, curiosity, whimsy, delight, fun, laughter, creativity, the maypole, rainbows, happiness. I would look at the list and add to it, add a few emojis. It made me smile even when I was tired and distracted. As adults, we are rarely encouraged to have more fun, to play in the woods, to take a nap. There's so many important things going on, right? We know what would help. Get enough good sleep, spend time in nature, eat real food, connect with our friends, move our bodies, even if it takes a minute to actually get going once you stand up. I walk like a zombie sometimes. We know these things are going to make us feel better. If we're exhausted and overwhelmed, we're too tired to notice those glimmers. And there's an obvious dichotomy, a dissonance between everything happening in our world, the needs and the tragedies, and focusing on something that might seem trivial. In Amber's reading, is it irresponsible to be thinking about joy? In this book, Kate Bowler talks about that dichotomy between people that are going through a really difficult time and how even then they can find some joy. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs, and then we're going to move on to Stephanie's meditation. We're living through a strange cultural moment. By almost every measurable standard, our lives are more comfortable than those of previous generations. We have more technology, more medicine, more convenience, more access to information. And yet, many of us feel weary, lonely, anxious, and unsure about how to make sense of our lives. It feels at times as though we are experiencing what the theologian Charles Matthew described as a global withering of our capacity for joy. A global withering of our capacity for joy. She says, at the same time, we are surrounded by a culture that insists the solution is simple. Be happier. Optimize your life. Manifest good vibes. Let me see if I can get this right. Eat the 7,453,908 grams of protein you definitely need. Sooner or later, most of us discover happiness is too fragile to carry the weight of an actual life, and that's where joy comes in. Again and again, I've watched joy appear in the lives of people who were still carrying enormous sorrow. It's for anyone who has discovered that life is more complicated than we were promised. She says, joy, as I have come to understand it, is not the same thing as happiness. Happiness depends on circumstances going right. Joy is something sturdier. It's the recognition that life is still worth loving and living even when it's fragile, unfinished, and full of sorrow. I'm going to finish with a list. She put it at the very beginning of her book. And the question is, what is joy? Circle the following correct answer. Fireworks that light us up from within. A relief from the ache. A gift our hearts are made for. A moment in the midst of nothing terribly special. An interruption to our usual lives. An emotional version of spontaneous combustion. A stranger that needs to be invited in. The only way to truly feel alive. Deepest hope and delight and gratitude, or all of the above.
Thank you, Lori. That idea that joy catches us off guard, that it lives in small, often unnoticed moments, and that it nourishes us when we're willing to see it, raises the question, what happens when we don't just notice these moments but allow ourselves to feel them, not just in our thoughts but in our bodies? Sometimes joy doesn't arrive as a big feeling. Sometimes it's something we have to make a little space for. And sometimes that space opens when we let ourselves be just a little less contained, a little less serious, and a little more willing to move in ways we usually don't. So I'd like to invite us gently to try that together. I want to invite all of the children up to the front if they would like to join in. We're going to do a little bit of movement today, and this will give you some space to stretch out. Hey, Evelyn, you want to come join? All right, well, feel free as you start moving to come up to the front, kids, if you want to join in. I invite you, if you're comfortable, to stand and stretch out a little, make room to move freely. And if standing isn't right for your body today, you're welcome to remain seated and simply follow along in whatever way feels natural to you. This isn't about doing anything correctly. There's no right way to move here, just an invitation to notice your body and maybe let it be a little less contained than usual. We'll begin very simply. Let your hands loosen. Gently shake them out. You can move your wrists, your arms. Just move them and release any tension that you're carrying through them. Nothing dramatic, just small, easy release. And if it feels right, you can let that movement travel a little into your shoulders. And close your eyes if that helps. Whatever helps you to feel focused on your own body. Now we can add maybe a soft bounce. Maybe a shift in your body. Just loosen. Let that begin to settle into a gentle sway. Side to side, shifting on your feet or shifting in your seat. Like trees moving in a warm breeze, open up to the sun. Notice the rhythm and how it calls upon something within. And from here, if it feels comfortable, begin to stretch your arms out to your side overhead in rhythmic motions. Not because you have to, but because something in you wants to reach out, to open, to take up just a bit more space. And maybe just for a moment, you allow yourself to move in a way that feels a little unnecessary. A little playful. A little silly. There's nothing to get right. just freedom in your own body. And then gently, let your arms come back down, let the movements soften, and come to stillness. Take a slow breath in and let it fall away. If you'd like, you can return to your seat or remain standing, whatever feels right. And take a moment to notice what feels different inside your body. If anything, notice without judgment. Do you feel a little more ease? Maybe nothing has changed at all, and that's okay. Just let your breath settle into its natural rhythm and bring your attention to something small. A sensation in your body, a place of warmth, or simply the way it feels just to be here. If joy is present, even in the smallest way, just notice it. And if it's not, there's nothing you need to create. Just staying open to whatever might arise. Take one deep, slow breath in and relax in the relief of joy. I invite Jenny Ashcraft back up to close our ceremony. Please join as you're willing in saying our closing affirmations, which are printed in your order of service, saying, "Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings."
This is also by Kate Bowler. Bless the moment that catches you off guard. A laugh, a moment of levity, sudden lift. Bless the laughter that feels almost wrong and the delight that doesn't match the circumstances. May you notice all that is unnecessary and beautiful, the ridiculous, the fleeting, the most alive. And when joy feels impossible, may it find you, or you find it. Anyway.